Wow, so much going on here, friends. This is not your average cheesecake. Just you wait for that little bit of spicy sprinkle at the end. This is my foolproof method for the creamiest miso cheesecake. Okay, so for the perfect baked cheesecake, there are quite a few little steps that can kind of trip you up along the way, but we're gonna do it together, my friends. I have all the little foolproof techniques for you to get it just right at home. And yes, there are a few odd ingredients. Odd ingredients that make it taste even better. But anyway, let's get going on the biscuit base first of all. I'm just using some malt biscuits, or you might call them milk biscuits. You just kind of want a nice, not too sweet kind of biscuit here, because the cheesecake itself is going to be a little sweet and a little salty and a little spicy. But so we'll just go like, you know, kind of just ordinary for the biscuits, please. And you want to blend that to a fine crumb. Okay, so this is what you're kind of looking for here. And to bind the biscuit base together, we just want some butter. Now you want that to melt, but you don't want it to color, so just keep your eye on it. Just pour that in with the biscuits. And you just want to mix this until you get kind of like a wet sand kind of texture. Now the easiest way to line this is to do a bit of this action. So get your baking paper, pop it on the top, that goes down, and then clip. So that way you've got a really flat base inside there so that your cheesecake won't kind of stick to the inside of the cake tin mold, which is, you know, really annoying when you can't get your cheesecake off of the tray at the bottom. And we just cut the sides off. Too easy, right? Okay, so now get your biscuit, your wet kind of sand biscuits, and pop that into the base. And just spread that out a little so it's kind of even in there. And then get a glass or a cup that has a really flat bottom, and this is like the easiest way to make sure that you get a really even, compact base. So get your cup in there and just start pressing and smushing that biscuit base into the bottom. And then I like to have a little bit of that biscuit base sort of coming up the sides, a little bit of that cheesecake wall as well. And you'll see at the end that creates a really lovely kind of effect on the outside of the cheesecake. Now, once everything is looking really nice and compact and it's all very even, you've got your nice little edge there, now we're ready to get our tin into the fridge. So one of the biggest tips I can give you guys for this cheesecake, or any cheesecake really, is to follow the times and be a little bit patient. So all the things need their time to, you know, get firm or bake in the oven or have a little rest. You'll see what I mean. It's quite the journeyman recipe. But this, we need to make sure that that base here firms up really nicely. So that's got to go into the fridge for 30 minutes, and don't hurry it up. So while our biscuit base is doing its thing, let's get on to the filling. Now I've just got some cream cheese here, and we need some caster sugar in there. Okay, now here's where we go a little bit rogue, everyone. We're gonna go in with some miso paste here. Now, so the miso paste is gonna add like a salty umami kind of flavor to our sweet cheesecake flavor. It's gonna be a good vibe, my friends. Well, I think it's a good vibe. So hopefully you do too. Now just mix this up till it's really nice and creamy. Now you might need to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Just make sure, you really want to make sure that miso is getting beautifully, consistently mixed in here. So just scrape down and then do a little bit more mixing. And I need some cream here as well. All right, so once you've got this kind of creamy situation happening here, now we can go in with the eggs, one at a time. So one egg first. And now mix. Second and third egg. beating really well after each time you add in an egg. So now you should have this kind of really amazing, awesome creaminess happening in your bowl right now. And now make sure you've waited your 30 minutes. And when your 30 minutes is up, go grab your biscuit base and pour that in. So now we're at the all-important cooking, baking part. So a few things that can go wrong here. Your cheesecake can be overcooked. It'll be really tough and grainy. Your cheesecake could be undercooked and be completely a mess when you cut into it. But if you come with me on the journey and we do it step by step, holding hands, we can do it together, my friends. First up, all the times and temps are on the recipe page on my website so that you know exactly what temp to set your oven at. This guy needs to go in and it's gonna take 55 minutes. 55 minutes, we're gonna come back and we're gonna check and see what the cheesecake should look like. All right guys, so we're gonna do the cheesecake check here. The cheesecake check involves looking at a bit of wobble. We need a bit of wobble in the center. I'll show you what I mean. Now, typically, if you're doing this at home, you don't need to pull the cheesecake out of the oven. I'm just getting it out to show you. It's a little bit danger mouse, but anyway, I'm gonna get it out and we'll see. Now just give the tin a bit of a shake gently and see how that's like just wobbling like a little bit of jelly just through the center. That actually means your cheesecake is perfectly cooked. More than that and your cheesecake will turn into like a rubbery, grainy, horrible mess. So that's what you're looking for. Keep it in the oven. You should just already have yours in the oven. You shouldn't have taken it out. Leave the door slightly ajar. And our little friend in there needs to sit there for 2 hours. I know, 2 hours, but I mean, it's not like you're doing any work. It's just, you know, this guy needs a rest in there. And what'll happen is those little cracks that we saw, they'll just sort of soften out a little bit and the cheesecake will cook through perfectly. So now that we have like 2 hours to fill, you have plenty of time to make some caramel. So we're gonna start off with some caster sugar. And here's the thing with caramel, I mean, it can be a little tricky, and the trickiest way, like the most danger mouse way to do it is to melt the sugar without any water or any other liquid. But I always find just a little bit of water to kind of help things along here. It's gonna mean we don't like kind of burn or get things cooking unevenly. It just really kind of helps with the even cooking. Now what you wanna do here is make sure you kind of baby your caramel. Don't let it go on its own, off on its own into the world. No, you wanna be here and you wanna be stirring, you wanna be swirling that pan. And this is gonna go on for about like 5, 7-ish kind of minutes or until you get a really deep, dark color, that dark, almost burnt kind of color. Okay, so see this? This is like go time. All right, so we've got just the right amount of color there. That color is gonna give us a little bit of bitterness so we don't have like an overly sweet caramel. Now we've got to go in the cream. So turn the heat off and this is gonna be fun. Pour that in. Whoa, see, I told you it'd be fun. Just keep stirring that. And yes, make sure you do have enough like headroom for that kind of explosion in your saucepan. Probably should have told you that before we started making the caramel, but anyway, you know now. And that, my friends, is looking really good. Okay, so that's the kind of like awesome, thick, lovely caramel kind of thing we're going for here. You can just let that cool completely until you're ready to serve your cheesecake. Okay, so I've been just lounging around, like watching Netflix, having a cup of tea. No, actually I've been very busy, but 2 hours and our cheesecake is ready to come out of the oven. Oh, wow, I mean, look at that color. That is so beautifully like burnished there across the top and it smells so lovely. You can almost smell a little bit of that miso and then you've got that kind of baked cheesecake kind of smell going on. This is great. Now, I might have deceived you a little bit earlier and you might have thought, okay, 2 hours and then we can eat cheesecake. No, actually, our little friend here needs to set in the fridge overnight. Yes, I know, more patience required. in the fridge overnight. Everything will firm up beautifully, the base will firm up again, and then we can come back and eat cheesecake. All right, but we don't have to sit around and wait for tomorrow because I made one yesterday. So here is our friend from yesterday, and now you can see all those cracks have softened up even more in the fridge overnight, and everything in here will be really nice and firm so we can unlock our tin. Now, because of the way that we lined our cheesecake tin earlier, we've got a really nice flat surface here, so my cheesecake should come off really easily onto your serving plate. Now, one final little twist here, my friends. We're gonna make a little spicy salt to go on the top because, like, you know, spicy, salty, I love those things, even when we're talking about dessert. All right, so I've got some Japanese sashimi togarashi. It is like a spice chili blend. It's got little sesame seeds, some citrus in there, and you want to add some salt flakes. I'm using sea salt flakes for this. Give that a mix. And now let's get in here because, you know, I've been waiting a long time. So cut yourself a very, you know, generous slice here. We, you know, have been very patient. Oh, and check out that texture in there, guys. I mean, have a look. It's perfectly creamy, perfectly consistent all the way through. You've got a really lovely little sort of golden top to that cheesecake, but the biscuit base is nice and firm and everything is just looking so lush and delicious. So this is why we went to all of the effort and all of the time and all of the patience. As I say, your patience will be rewarded. Okay, so we want some caramel here. And then here comes the really cool thing. I mean, this is like adult sprinkles, right? We want to just grab a little pinch here or a big pinch and just sprinkle that all on the top. And there you go, friends. Cheesecake done my way. A little bit of a twisty turny kind of one, but the method and you know, that technique will serve you well. But let's get in here and make sure that I've done a good enough job for you guys. Oh wow, look at that texture. I mean, like the creaminess, you know, this is what I'm talking about, like that perfect cheesecake texture. I am gonna look forward to this. Holy smokes. Oh my, so do you know what is so cool about this? Is that kind of like sweet saltiness, that kind of mix that you're getting from the miso and the sweet cheesecake and and then that little kind of like hint of like chili spice. I mean, there's just so much going on, but it is so good. Oh, and creamy, like this is the thing, like to get a cheesecake that is that creamy, like a baked creamy cheesecake is, you know, it's one of life's pure joys. I mean, the chili thing is just like, it's really so good. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button plus the little bell one, and that way you'll get notified every time I release a new video. Thanks, guys.